Sakura Exclash, Last Millennium Spring.
The deadly watch begins.
Round 1.
No mercy. No mercy.
悪いかね。行くぞ。ティア。ティア。
Counter.
Counter. Counter.
Counter.
いや。こだわりだ。悪いかね。
Winner!
這い上がってこぬか。
The show must go on.
Round 2.
No mercy.
またもの。ティア。
Level up.
悪いかね。ティア。ティア。悪いかね。
Counter.
Danger.
ティア。
Counter. KO.
KO.
Nice. Winner!
いざ緊張など許さんぞ。
The deadly watch begins.
Round 1.
No mercy.
Nice.
こだわりだ。
Good.
Level up.
Counter. Nice. Winner!
這い上がってこぬか。
The show must go on.
Round 2.
No mercy.
Counter. Nice.
Counter. Level up.
こだわりだ。
KO. Winner!
もはや引くことなど許さん。
The deadly watch begins.
Round 1.
No mercy.
こだわりだ。行くぞ。こだわりだ。
Level up.
こだわりだ。覚悟。 覚悟。こ こぬか。
The show must go on.
Round 2.
No mercy.
Counter.
Counter. Level up. Level up.
Counter. KO. Winner.
The deadly watch begins.
Round 1.
No mercy.
Counter. KO. Nice. Winner.
這い上がってこぬか。
The show must go on.
Round 2.
No mercy.
Counter. Counter. KO. Winner.
The deadly watch begins.
Round 1.
No mercy.
Winner.
這い上がってこぬか。
The show must go on.
Round 2.
No mercy. Level up. Counter.
Winner. Thank you for playing.
The deadly watch begins.
Round 1.
No mercy.
Counter. Counter.
Counter. No mercy.
Nice. Counter.
Second round.
Counter.
Good. Counter.
Nice.
Second round. Second round.
Counter. Counter. KO. Winner.
The deadly watch begins.
Round 1.
No mercy.
Nice.
お
Winner.
もちゃで何ができる
The show must go on.
Round 2.
No mercy.
Counter. Good. Counter. Nice. Counter. Nice. Winner.
The deadly watch begins.
Round 1.
No mercy.
KO.
そのお
Winner.
もちゃで何ができる
The show must go on.
Round 2.
No mercy. Second round. Second round.
KO. Nice. Winner.
The deadly watch begins.
Round 1.
No mercy.
Counter. KO.
そのお
Winner.
もちゃで何ができる
The show must go on.
Round 2.
No mercy. Second round. what begins.
Round one.
No mercy. Mercy.
悪い子ね。
そのおもちゃで何ができる
The show must go on.
Round two.
No mercy.
我が力
Nice. Winner.
The deadly watch begins.
Round one.
No mercy.
First round. Counter. Nice.
Counter.
KO.
そのお
Winner.
もちゃで何ができる
The show must go on.
Round two.
No mercy.
我が力
Counter.
消し飛べ 我が力
Nice. Winner. Thank you for playing.